let's start with a smile on our faces. Let your next breath really inflate your lungs. So like a breath of pride, you know. And then a deep exhale. Maybe a sigh of relief. We'll do one more of those with a smile, if you can maintain that. And then exhale. It's already feeling softer. Let's find those 2 hip points. The lowest bony points of your seat. Let the legs relax with your next exhale. So just try and let them go a little heavier. It's difficult for me to do. So just give it a go. And then breathe from the pubic bone up through the sternum. So we'll lift up the front of the body. Next time you inhale, let the lungs rise. And as you exhale, let the shoulder blades melt down the back a little bit. Feel the effort or the engagement of that lift in the chest. And we'll take one more breath to try and inflate the skull area. So breathing into the crown of the head, or the back of the head. And then back down through the sit points. Nice and deep. Good. Let's just start with some gentle circles this morning. So I'm going to lean to the right and start to loop my body around. Just a little sensation in the waist and the hips, maybe the shoulders. Start to articulate the spine here a little bit and move through these shapes, cow shape and cat shape, if you know them. And then I'm going to switch it around. So I'm going to the other side now. Yeah, feels good to get moving, get the blood flowing. Start to loosen up the spine. I'm going to take one more. Let's come back to stillness. Bring the hands to heart center. Breathe in to reach the palms overhead. And breathe out for a twist. We'll go to the right. You can just look towards that right knee, or you can bring your chest even farther towards that right side. Palms or fingertips down to support you. Let the next breath rise from your tailbone up the spinal column. And feel that spiraling quality. We'll just take one more breath here across the chest. And then exhale, arms down to the sides, come back to center. Hands to the heart. We'll breathe in to go up. Exhale to twist to the other side. So maybe just looking towards that left knee, or maybe going deeper if the spine is on board. Bring yourself to that edge and then take a breath. Watch the breath rise up that spiral, like ascending a spiral staircase. Let your next breath inflate the top of your lungs. Exhale, arms to the side as you unwind. Let's lean back and switch out the cross of the legs. So this first side you came into naturally. Second side may feel a little different. You might notice my right knee or my left knee, if I'm mirroring you, is lifted a little bit more. So just a slightly different seat, but I can still find my sit point, see how it goes in your body. Try and relax the legs. It's a little harder for me to do on this side. And then breathe up the body. Good. Let's do side body stretches. Just letting the right arm reach out to the side so that you awaken a little sensation in the bicep, or the shoulder, maybe the forearm. We'll inhale to reach that left arm up towards the ceiling and then over to the side. So I want a nice gentle arc here. Try and feel the left lungs and ribs kind of pressing out or bulging out. Breathe into that left side. Good. And then we'll come back up through center and let that left arm rest. Reaching now to feel that activity and engagement in the left side. We'll take our next inhale to reach up and use the exhale to reach over. So you can sort of lean into that left hand if that's helpful to find your bearings, and then try to find a nice arch here. So we're exaggerating or emphasizing that arc in the body. Yeah, one more breath. Back up through center. And a breath in stillness. Try and feel it rise up your spine. Good. Let's come to our back body. I'm going to do a little bit more movement before we start weight bearing. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor and let your torso, your body rest. So you'll want to check in with the lower back. So bring your attention to the lower back and ask yourself if it's comfortable. Honest answer, and then the work to improve your experience. Maybe pressing into the feet, lifting the hips to scoop the tailbone. A little bit more rounded surface for the lower back. Whatever's going to work for you. We'll do that same thing in the chest and the shoulders. So I like to slide or walk my shoulder blades under the rib cage. So there's a little bit more support. Let your arms reach out in a way that feels expansive. And then we'll take one more breath here. Good. We'll lift one knee towards the chest and then the other. You can grab for the knees or wrap your hands around the shins or the thighs. Feel even more space in the lower back here. And then with an inhale, let's flex both feet towards the ceiling. Exhale, back down towards the tight squeeze, little ball. Inhaling up. Both feet towards the ceiling, exhaling down. Make sure your lower back is feeling supported here. Inhale up. Feet towards the ceiling. You might notice I have a nice bend in my knees. We want space for the hamstrings, but we don't want to stress them here. Maybe let those arms relax by the sides. Take a breath into the chest and exhale through the back of the skull. The next time you breathe, from the hip points up through the back of the legs, flex through the heels. And then let's bring right foot to the floor and then the left foot to the floor. Walk the feet and knees as wide as the mat and do some windshield wiping here of the thighs. So you may not touch down, but I want you to try and drop the knees to the right and then to the left. Just back and forth. Feel that cycle or that rotation along the glutes and the lower back, the sacrum there, and then feel this rotation in the hip sockets as well. So bring your attention to something, watch it happen in the body, and keep breathing deeply. Your next exhale, bring you back to center. We'll walk the feet back towards one another. Draw one knee to the chest and then the other, and then roll to your right side. We'll pause for an inhale here, and then exhale up to a comfortable seat, and then we're going to move on to our hands and knees. So tabletop here, knees aligned under the hips, and palms or wrists under the shoulders. I like to pause here in neutrality, try and find stability and support. So you feel like this is sustainable before you shake things up a little bit. And then as you're ready to shake things up, we'll do some cat and cow. So we start with cow pose on the inhale, dropping the belly. Heart lifts, chin lifts. You feel it stretch in the front of your torso, and then exhaling, pressing the spine away. You'll round through the back body. Drop the head heavy. And inhale back to cow shape. Call it cat and cow, even though it's basically cow and cat. And you can stick with these two traditional movements. It'll give you everything you need, or the basics anyway. If your body is talking to you, if you're getting signals from the neck and shoulders, or the waist and hips, thighs, then maybe use this opportunity to get into those spaces just by moving a little bit more intuitively. I like to say close the eyes and let your body move you a little bit. Don't be shy. Nobody's watching. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back to stillness. So feel that contrast between the movement and fluidity and the stillness here, the grounded energy. I'm going to do a heart-melting pose. I want you to take it really nice and easy today. So maybe just a palm's length ahead and see how that goes. And then another palm's length ahead and see how that goes. Keep on going here until you find a stretch in the arms or the side body, the armpits or the pec muscles, maybe even the spine. Some of you may be flexible enough to let the heart melt towards the floor. Maybe the forehead will touch here, or the nose, or the lips, or the chin. Try to breathe from the tailbone long through the spine, extending the crown of the head a little further away, and then exhale, press into the palms and draw the body back. Take a full breath. Good. We're going to bring ourselves back up to tabletop, inhaling. Let's tuck the toes and lift the knees and hips for downward facing dog. We'll just get a nice stretch in here. So the knees can stay bent a lot. The heels can hover off the ground. Try and tilt those two sit points towards the ceiling. Press into the palm and draw the chest back, just like we did in the heart melting pose. So this is considered a resting pose in down dog. If it's not feeling very restful, see if you can make it a little easier on yourself. Widen the stance of your feet. Maybe walk the hands a little closer to your feet so that it's a sharper angle. We'll take one more breath and let the exhale come out like an open mouth exhale. Just let something go. And then let's walk the hands back to the back of the mat to meet here in forward fold. So weight will shift into the heels and the outside edges. You can step the feet a little wider apart to bring more of a foundation into your legs. Let the knees bend a lot. Let the torso drape over the thighs and let the head drop heavy. Take another breath into the back of the lungs. Next time you inhale, we're going to roll up slowly. So just start that momentum of rising. Feel that rooted sensation in your feet. The legs are working for you here, and you're going to rise up all the way to standing. Chin can rise last, so you avoid getting dizzy. Draw the hands to heart center and take a breath here. Keep the eyes closed if you're comfortable. I'm going to change my camera angle. And then we'll take one more breath together from the arches of the feet up through the crown of the head. All right, so we're going to interlace our fingers, just kind of stringing them together, and then point our fingers up towards the ceiling, and I've got my thumbs crossed. I'm going to go ahead and come to my knees, but I want you to remain standing. We're going to inhale to lift up towards the ceiling. And then exhale to point towards the right, sort of an imaginary corner. I want you to press into that left heel and reach up through those fingertips. And then back through center and to the other side. The weight can shift into that right side now. A full breath for the sake of our sides, and then back through center. Let's bring the hands down to the heart. We'll take another breath here. And then let's step the right foot back to warrior one. So you'll see I'm about half or 2/3 back on my mat. Right sole of the foot is planted, left sole of the foot is planted. I'm facing you right now, but the object is to get the body towards the front of the mat. So you want the hips to align. So in order to make that happen, I need to step that right foot a little closer. That brings the hips more square towards the front of my mat. And then I'm gonna breathe up through the body here. So we'll bring the hands to heart center for one more breath. I want you to find that stability and breathe up through the spine. So kind of get your bearings on that work. And then we'll go deeper. We're gonna reach behind us now for interlaced fingers. Maybe just staying here or grabbing for the elbows if that feels too intense. We're gonna breathe to lift up through the heart. One more breath here. You can stay just as you are. I'm gonna take it into a humble warrior. I'm gonna breathe from the tailbone up the spinal column. Exhale, a little bend in the knees or a big bend in the knees as you root through the feet and lean forward from the hips. Maybe that's enough and you stay for one breath and you move out of it, or maybe you dive deep into this humble warrior. Head comes down as the arms rise. It's gonna challenge your balance. Take it or leave it. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to release the arms, and we'll step the right foot to meet the left. Hands to the heart. Breath here. Good. And now I want you to interlace your fingers and then switch it out to the opposite interlace. Point your fingers up towards the ceiling in that same work. So find your stability on both feet. That's important. I'm going to come back down so you can see me, and we're going to move to the opposite side first, although it won't make any difference. We'll inhale to reach the fingers, the hands up towards the ceiling. And then exhale now to your left. So I'm getting a nice little stretch in my hip here. Lean into that right side of the heel or foot. And then inhale your body back. Exhale to the other side. Full breath. Back through center. And we'll bring the hands down, back to the heart. Stepping the left foot back now, switch sides so you can keep an eye on what's going on. Both feet are planted. This left foot's at an angle, but I want the hips to square towards the front of the mat. So do what you need to do to find that footing. And then confirm that. So I like the hands to the heart because it helps me press the palms together and feel that center in my body. Breathe from the tailbone up the spinal column. See if you can find that center all the way up. Exhale through both feet. And stay right here. If this feels like work, you can come with me. I'm going to reach behind for the opposite bind now. So if you took the elbows here, you can hit that and switch it out. Opposite forearm or hand on top. I'm going to hit my bind and switch it out. And then I'm going to focus on lifting up through the heart. So that space across the top of the chest, the front of the chest. Maybe that's the work for you today. Or you can come with me to humble warrior. I'm going to breathe from the tailbone up through the spinal column. And then bend into the knees. So I feel my legs supporting me. It's not my lower back as I lower. It's the legs doing the work of that leverage. Lever, I guess. And then into humble warrior. So optimally, your right knee is bent and the left leg is straight once you've hit the pose, but I have a slight bend in my left knee. It's okay. So it's helping me feel stable. Take one more breath here. And we'll rise up. Exhale, step back to your mountain pose here. Left foot meets the right, palms together. We'll take a breath. Arms rise. Forward fold. Step the right foot back to a lunge. and lower the back knee. So we're gonna pause here for some work in the quad and hip flexor. Hopefully you're already feeling some sensation. If you need a little bit more, you can bear down the weight of your pelvis and your body. Kind of dip into that sensation. And then when you find a little something, then we're all going to bring our attention up the spinal column. So from the tailbone through the body, lifting up, try to find that brightness from your seat or from your stance. Feels good. One more breath, if only for my sake. Use your exhale to let the hips back to the back of the mat. So straighten the left leg. Hips over that right knee. And I've got a nice bend in that left knee. So don't worry about moving totally straight, but find the middle of your hamstring muscle. That's what we're looking for. We're going to breathe up the body again to lengthen. And if you feel like there's some space to explore, you can fold towards that left leg. Take it or leave it. Your work may be way up here, and that's totally fine. As long as you're breathing into the middle of your muscle, you're doing the work. I'm going to take one more breath here. My hamstrings are really tight. Good. And then we're going to lift up. If you went deep, feel supported on fingertips or palms, or maybe even some books or some blocks if you do yoga props. And I want to play with a little bit of movement here from the hip. So I'm going to turn around so you get a better view of this. Bear with me. I'm going to move from this hip socket to windshield wiper the toes, back and forth. This can be very slow. This is experimental, and this could be very intense in some of our bodies. So the invitation to work through that, breathe through that, and try to keep the heart open to that. So the spine is still long, there's still space to breathe. Now, if there's a spot that's really piquing your interest or sort of stealing your joy, like try and breathe into it for one more breath. I've got this one spot that needs me, so I'm going to take my breath. And then bring your body back through center. So from that hip socket, we're doing all of this movement, and we'll walk ourselves back to the low lunge. So again, I'm going to give myself one more breath into that right side, the quad and hip flexor. Let's tuck the toe, lift the knee, and step to a forward fold. So if you've got to take several little scoochy steps, you're still making your way there, no problem. Try and feel supported by your legs and your feet. So establish a firm foundation, and then let the spine go. The skull can drop heavy. One more breath. Good, we'll do that work on the other side. So the left foot steps back, we'll lower the knee. The first couple of breaths here are just to tune into what's happening in your quad and hip flexor. Can you feel a little tug or a little stretch or some sensation, some intensity in this left side? Fine tune your angles and the effort or exertion in your body to feel that stretch. Oh, there it is. One more breath. Good. Let's take a breath together from the tailbone up the spinal column so we come back to that space if we've lost it. And then exhale to let the hips come back over that left knee and straighten-ish the right leg. So I say straighten, it's really more about finding the hamstring on that right side. So the right knee is bent enough, a lot, to feel the middle of my hamstring muscle. Bring your attention to the next breath from the hip points up through to the shoulders and beyond, so there's length in the torso. And then if you're interested, you can fold towards that right leg. 2 more breaths into the depths if you went for it. Or at your edge if you found it already. And then we'll ease up a little bit. So we come out of that edge so that we can explore some work with this windshield wiper. So again, I'm turning around. If you know what to do, feel free to get started. But from this hip socket, windshield wiping the foot. So the whole leg kind of moves together here. Maybe a little challenging at first, and you may not be moving as far as I am, but don't worry. You probably are still feeling something, and that's my goal. All right, so a couple of more breaths. Maybe come back to that attention in the heart space or the torso, so you're not just like, you know, crunching into the intensity of it all. And then see if you can find that one spot that needs you, one space in this shape. There's one. I just took my inhale. There's the exhale. I'm going to bring the hip back to neutral and wait for an exhale to walk myself forward. So again, I'm going to give myself some sensation in that left side. Take a breath. Good, and then let's bring the palms down as we tuck the back toe and step back to plank pose. We're gonna bring the knees down and start to walk the weight back. I think you can still see me now, okay, good. Stretching here for the ankles and calves and feet. You may already be feeling something here. But if there's more to explore, we're gonna bring the weight up off of the floor and rise up. So, lots of intensity for me here, but this morning it's welcome intensity. I've got a nice stretch in the ankles, a nice stretch in the arches of my feet. I'm drawing my legs together, my feet together. I'm trying to stay peaceful here in the chest. Let's all take another breath. Of course, lean forward if this is too intense. If you can't breathe peacefully, you've gone too far. Good. I'll give you a break. We'll lean forward. Go ahead and give yourself a little pat on the feet. And optionally, you can sit back and give yourself a little stretch for the front of the shins. Let's go ahead and come to our seats for a little bit more work. I'm going to change the camera again. So if you want to look away or close the eyes, there'll be a little bit of movement. Oh, more than usual. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. I want to get into the hip flexors a little bit more and our hips. So we'll start with Baddha Konasana here. Soles of the feet together. Just about in the middle between the extremes. Just bring it together so it feels kind of doable. And here's my sort of middle, but if you're way out here or deeper in here, as long as it feels like kind of a middle way for you and your body, then I'm happy. So here in this one, you can find those two sit points again. Try to feel the stability and the sinking, grounding quality of your pelvis. We'll take a breath from the tailbone up the spinal column. And then exhale, let's just tuck the chin at first. The chin tucks. Maybe the skull gets heavy. You should awaken some stretch or some length in the back of the skull, back of the neck, maybe the back of the ribs, thoracic spine there. Take another breath. Could be subtle. And then with the next breath, let it rise up through to the heart space and then use the energy to lift the head. So it's the inhale, the energy that rises with the breath that lifts your head. So this time we're going to go deeper if you're feeling it. You can just do another tuck of the chin, or you can go with me. From the tailbone up the spinal column, we'll lengthen. And then from these two hip points, we try to pivot forward. So if I'm pivoting from the hip points and not the lower back, which is key, I don't go as far, it goes deep. It feels harder, it feels more resistant, and that's because I'm not cheating, right? So I'm pivoting from those hip points, leaning the body forward, and then at some point, you will need to support yourself if you're going deeper. So I'm feeling a lot of work in the lower back and I want to ease out of that. So today I'm going to choose to just come back up. You might find some support with the palms or the forearms, the elbows, something like that if you've gone deeper. But make sure that the lower back isn't doing all the work here. You've got a lot of other body parts that can share the load. And let's all take a deep breath into the lungs and use an exhale to drop the head heavy. So even if that's just a tuck of the chin, as I am demonstrating here, or if you're in a full fold and you just let the head go heavy. Such a beautiful feeling. You have connected with that sense of release, that drop of the head. Then take one more breath as like an inner high five or a celebration to mark your ability to relax and breathe. Unwind, if you will. We'll rise up. Let's bring the knees together. So use the strength of your arms to draw the knees together. And then let's extend both legs straight. So again, let me show you when I say straight, I'm talking about my hamstrings feel nice and long and straight, but I'm not taxing myself at the hip joints or the knees. I'm not trying to cheat again by pulling those ligaments instead of my hamstrings. So find your 2 sit points. Yeah, that's about as far as it goes today. Pretty tight. And we'll go ahead and bring the right sole of the foot to the floor. So as I draw this right foot, I can extend this left leg a little bit, but it's still not coming down. Hip points in contact. This is where we start to kind of round, right? The body sort of does this number. I want you to try and fight back. Come to those sit points if you can. This is effort for the spine, especially with this knee into the chest. We'll take another breath to lift up through the body or try to move that direction. You can stay right here, or if you feel like you've got more room to explore, you can cross that right ankle or right foot over the left leg. So, cross that leg. See if you've still got the hip points in contact and the ability to breathe bright through the length of your body. Then we're going to twist. So exhaling, you can just look towards this knee a little bit, or you can turn towards that right side. So again, I'm using my right hand to support myself, actually hugging the knee here. We'll all take a breath from the tailbone up the spinal column. And I want to go a little deeper if you're with me. So we'll take another breath up and use the exhale to look over that right shoulder. That opens up some space, but just like we did with the windshield wiping foot, that work for our hips. I want you to lift the chin maybe and lower the chin. So this is your own intuitive movements here to find that one spot that needs you. And then pause, wait for a full breath to inflate that space. Keep breathing until it's full. And then exhale with the intention of releasing some of that tightness, some of that stuck energy. Last breath in. And exhale to unwind. So that twist felt good, but my spine is definitely feeling uneven. Try to take a breath from the tailbone up the spinal column. Good. And let's do that work on the other side. So I'll go ahead and turn around. The right leg's going to extend as the left foot comes down. Same work at the hip points. I'm finding, since maybe it's because I moved around, but things feel different on this side. I'm going to breathe my body up. Just do your best to find that space. Every day is a new day. If there's room, you can cross that left foot over the leg so there's more depth in this side as we twist. And then from that length, you can always just stay here and work, or you can come with me, twisting towards that left side. So I like the hug here. Prevents me from going too deep. If you've got a lot of flexibility, you can hook that elbow and move on. But gentle yoga, gentle pose. I'm going to just hug the knee and honor the natural inclination of my spine to twist. So I'm not trying to wrench it into some kind of established destination. I'm just feeling what my spine can do today and allowing it to open up. And then if there is space to explore in the neck, you can exhale to look over that left shoulder. And again, just that movement may bring you into something sweet, and that may be enough. Or you can play with tucking the chin or lifting the chin as a way of finding that stretch in your body. That one space that's carrying all the tension or a lot of the tension. And then take one more breath. So that full inhale, so you feel the expansion of that breath. And then the exhale is if you could just trash all that stuff that's feeling tight in there. And we'll take one more inhale, just so it's the exhale where we unwind. Whew, let's bring both legs forward. So just from that work, I'm feeling a little bit looser. I don't know about you. All right, we're gonna do fire log pose, which is a little tricky. We'll bring the right shin to the floor. I'm gonna mirror you here, so hopefully that's not confusing. And the left shin on top. So optimally, you'd have kind of the shins stacking or the knees and the feet in contact a little better. I've got so much space here that I'm gonna bring my shin in front of, so it's a stacking horizontally instead of vertically. I still have my feet and knees more or less in that line with each other. Try to find those sit points. This is a little bit trickier. And look down and try and see a triangle here. Pubic bone and your knee joints make essentially an isosceles triangle, more or less. You know, all anatomy considered. We'll breathe from the tailbone up the spinal column. You could let the fingers flutter out and find some space across the chest. This may be your work, just to lift up bright and maintain this bright posture. You could tuck the chin, as we've done as a modification for folds, or you can come with me into a fold. So I'm going to take that breath long through the spine. You always want to wait for that energy to rise and then move from that length in the spine to fold. Just have more room for articulation. You'll notice I'm moving very slowly. It's very tight for me. But welcome in, you know, small stages, small doses. I'm gonna ease my way into it. Take another breath into the back of your heart and use the exhale to drop the head heavy. If you felt that release, celebrate with one more breath. If you're still working on it, just give yourself one more breath. Inhale to rise up. And then we're gonna switch it out. So I'm gonna lean back enough to free my legs and tie and protect my joints. If things are feeling a little creaky, you can extend and wiggle and shake or do a little reset for your body. And then we'll do the other side. So the left shin first, right shin follows. And again, if it looks like mine, if it feels like mine, then go ahead and modify with me so that the shins are stacked horizontally and in front of each other. Knees and feet sort of in line, the hip points in contact, and a relative triangle here in the legs. We'll breathe up the body and then find your work. So maybe it's up here, maybe it's the tuck of the chin, maybe you move into the depths of what your hips are craving. We'll start from that lengthened place, waiting for your breath to fill you up, and then exhaling to just start your journey. So again, just like with all the other folds, you want to avoid taxing the lower back. So try and distribute the load evenly, even take the load off of the lower back if you can with intention here in your yoga practice. Try and drop the head heavy. I often keep my head lifted just so you can hear me, but I would want you to fully release. Let's take one more breath, and I'm feeling spacious breath in my love handles or sort of the kidney area. So see if you can breathe into that space with me. Last breath. Rise up. Good. And I think we'll go ahead and come on down. I want to do more for the quad and hip flexors. And I think we can gently do that from our backs. So I'll start on this side. All right. So just as before, we'll come to our back bodies with the soles of the feet planted. Check in with your lower back, make adjustments as needed to try and feel a little more comfortable, a little more settled here. And it's the same work in the shoulders, so don't neglect the neck and shoulders. Try and create that spacious place where your body can relax. Good. We're gonna thread the right foot under the left knee. So you'll just kind of let that right foot come under. And then maybe grab for that right foot. So you'll take the left hand, grab for the right foot, and then draw the knee down towards the front of your mat. This is tricky. If you're watching me for the first time, you might want to pause your video and take a quick peek at what's going on here. But you should awaken a sensation in the quad and the hip flexor. If there's any sensation in the knee, go ahead and let go of your foot right away. And we're just going to breathe here. So the space that's opening up, this length that you're feeling on the right side, bring your breath into that space. Meet that space with your breath. And then let the exhales go just as strongly and intentionally as a way to sort of carry some of those toxins and some of that tension out of the body. If this is feeling pretty intense, you can stay right here, ease up at any time. I'm going to offer a few options. Today's something new for my regulars, so keep your thinking caps on here. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee. And I am letting that left knee then fall open a little bit, so it feels kind of like that supine pigeon that we do a lot, or that other twist that we do sometimes, but the right leg is in a different position. You could go ahead and let the left foot come down to the floor and bring it more into that left side if that's your bliss today. Look a little something like this if you need the visual. Or even that. I'm going to take one more breath just as I am. You can stay here, back off at any time, or you can come with me. I'm going to draw the left knee towards the heart or the chest. So that as that knee comes towards me, there's more intensity in that right side. So if you get here and it's like, panic mode and you can't breathe or whatever, you've gone too far. Back it off. Come back to that gentle, peaceful quality of your yoga practice. We'll take 2 more breaths. Good. I'm going to let that right foot go, and I'm going to release, drawing the right knee out and then around. A little hip rotation there as I draw the knees together. Let's inhale to lift the feet towards the ceiling. Maybe stay for an extra breath to lengthen the hamstrings, the calves, the ankles, and the feet. And then bring one foot down at a time just to go easy on yourself. I'm still feeling pretty good in the lower back and shoulders, but check your body. Honest answers and honor your body with any adjustments that will help. And we'll go to the other side. So you'll see the other side of this now if that's helpful for you. We're going to thread the left foot under the right knee and then grabbing for that foot. So right hand to the left foot. And then I draw that left knee down towards the front of my mat. So, oh baby. Am I feeling some sensation here on the left side? My knee is fine, but I feel lots and lots in the waist today. A little bit in my quads. I think my waist is trumping everything. What's happening in your body? I need to stay for a couple more breaths. I think we all need at least one more here. So I'm going to stay for a couple more breaths at least, but if you're into it, if you're ready, you can cross that right ankle over the left knee. So I'm going to model honoring my body here instead of that pose. And maybe I'll get to it. Each new breath is a little more spacious, a little less resistance. And give it a go, just crossing that right ankle over the left knee. And that foot doesn't have to come down, although it might. And let that right knee drop open so there's more of a weight on that left side. So it changed things a little bit, made it more interesting, more welcome. Still intense. You could maybe draw that right knee to the chest now if you're ready for that next phase. I'm gonna take my time. More or less ready. I'm gonna draw that right knee to my chest now, but again, you may have tuned me out several breaths ago. There's no need to go on if you're already at your edge. That's all we're looking for. Give myself 2 more breaths. If you're over it, you can draw that left knee out and around, bring it to your chest. Those were my breaths, so I'm drawing that left knee out and around to the chest. I'm gonna rock side to side a couple of times. Feels really good. And then let's lift the feet back up towards the ceiling. Hopefully the lower back is feeling supported here and sustainable. Take one more breath through the back of the heels. So let the energy rise up the legs. And then bend the knees, cup the hands to the knees, and let the legs fall away. So I'm holding onto my knees with like my fingertips or my palms. And the weight of my legs are heavy here. So it's like if I were to release my hands, the feet would drop. I'm not going to do that, but that's the idea. So take a breath into the lower belly or the pelvic bowl. See how deep you can breathe and see if you can feel some expansion in your hip flexors here. So that's the space we were just stretching a moment ago. Maybe. And then we're going to draw some circles with the knees. So I'm just rolling to the right. That's what my body wanted to do. And then around to the left. So let's go ahead and bring attention to what's happening in the glute muscles today. So as you roll to the right, like what kind of sensations are you feeling? And your back is talking to you here. Try and ease up. Try to be a little bit more tender with the movements, or let the movements go all together. You can move as slow as you want, and you can move as subtly as you want. You don't need to make your circles as big as mine. It's just what my body needs to feel it. So I'm going to go to the other side. Rounding here. So I feel that action in the lower back and the hips. And then I feel that, I want to say goodness, that sensation in the outer hips. I'm kind of rubbing this glute muscles a little bit. I'm going to take one more circle. Okay, come back to center. And then we're going to do Supta Baddha Konasana, that's Sanskrit for supine bound angle pose here. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. So you might remember we did this shape in our seats kind of early on, but this time we're on our back body. So again, as you approach the shape or when you arrive, if the lower back needs some love, stop, stop, drop, and adjust your body to feel better in this shape. The idea in this one is to let the weight of the legs, the pull of gravity, sort of bring that sensation to bear, or the effort of the work here is gravity. Oh my goodness, so many words, my apologies. Just take a couple more breaths, let gravity do the work for you. Hopefully you're feeling spacious in the chest, across the arms. Last breath, maybe brighten that space a little bit. And I'm going to draw one knee to the chest and then the other, just so I can focus on the hip movement and the knees, protecting the joints. And rock side to side, and again, just a little love on the lower back, the outer hips. Keep rocking and breathing. I'm going to check our time. Okay, we're doing all right. I want to do some twists. So let's bring the soles of the feet back down to the floor. And we'll cross the right ankle, or excuse me, right thigh over left thigh, like a lady's cross. And you can stay right here, or you could draw those thighs closer to your body. The angle here in the hip will determine some of the intensity, or will shift what you're feeling in the body. So we'll take a breath in here. And we're going to exhale to the left. This will be our twist. So you do not have to touch the legs or the knees down if you can find a nice hover here. But if this is taxing the knees or the hips or the lower back, then let your whole body roll over. That's one option, to feel a little bit more on the outer hip. Or let the cross of the legs go. Just keep it simple. Maybe extending the feet out a little bit so it's more of a right angle in your knees. I'm demonstrating that now if you need a quick peek. So that was the demonstration. I'm going to go back to right thigh over left, where we started. All right, so if the legs are settled and you're feeling pretty good about that, still in a peaceful, breathable space in your body, then we're going to take the next breath from the tailbone up the spinal column. And again, watch that spiral movement up through the body to open up to the right. So we're not trying to achieve any specific shape. We're just playing with the idea of opening the spine, or letting the spine articulate in a way that we maybe don't always do, in a gentle and peaceful way. If you haven't already, maybe look over that right shoulder, bring the twist into your neck, but let it feel natural and organic in your spine. And then keep breathing up and down the spine. See if you can feel that spiral staircase. The energy rises, not straight, but with a little bit of a swirl. Good stuff. We'll bring our bodies back to center on an inhale. So you can come back to that left foot. If the thighs are still crossed, you can come back to both feet. I'm going to release here and windshield wiper my knees. So just giving my lower back a little adjustment and transition. And soles of the feet plant. Check in with your lower back and your shoulders. Make sure everything's still feeling pretty harmonious as you cross the left thigh over the right. You can keep that right foot planted, or you can lift the knees closer to you. I'm going to keep the foot planted because I want more space in my hip flexors for this. So as I drop the knees to the right, I'm feeling this in the outer hip and the waist. If you drew the thighs closer, you'd likely feel it a little bit more in the glutes, maybe the lower back. Again, you can always just simplify, go back to what you found on the other side, and then when you feel settled in the lower body, then bring your awareness up to the chest. We want spaciousness across the torso and through the arms. And then we'll bring the awareness to the breath. So watching the last several breaths rise and fall up that spiral staircase of your spine, and just honoring your own range of motion here. So you may only just get very subtly twisted and feel all the goodness that I'm feeling here in this what may look like quite a deep twist. We all have our own flexibility and our own sort of body mechanics, coping mechanisms we built up over the years. Whatever it is, you have to honor that with your practice. So this is a start. Last breath, try and stay present to it. And then inhale to bring your body back to center. Knees to the chest for a tight squeeze. You might rock side to side. Let's take a happy baby as our last official shape of the practice. So soles of the feet lift towards the ceiling. Knees are bent at approximately a right angle. You'll grab for the outside edges of your feet and draw down towards the floor. So you can go a little wider here or keep it close together. Try and relieve the lower back here and feel a little something in the hamstrings and or the inner groin. Take one more breath. You can rock side to side here. Again, if you're feeling a little bit more of that fluid movement, the waves of an ocean. And then we'll make our way to Shavasana, our final rest. Legs extend this time if that feels okay in the body. You can always plant the feet if that feels better on the lower back, or bring out a blanket or a towel or something under the legs to support you. Feel harmonious about the lower back. Scooch and wiggle or shake or adjust as needed until you optimize that sensation, or, just let it be as good as it gets, and then same in the shoulders. So I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders. I have injuries and I just do my best. It's not perfect, but I can be mindful and intentional about finding space in my body and softening. That's what I want to do. So from the crown of the head, the forehead, the eyelids, the jaw, and the tongue, throat, and the heart space, the shoulders, belly, pelvis, legs, and the feet. Everything softens. And then we take one last breath in consciously, breathing as much as you can to fill up the body, and try to sip in a little bit more air, and then try to retain that breath and watch it swirl inside of you. Just hold out as long as you can until you release your breath like an open balloon, just a forceful exhale. So I have a lot of breath. I'll demonstrate, and then I'll give you a minute of stillness. Bring your attention back for the next full breath cycle. Just watch that inhale rise and the exhale fall. And then invite small movements back into the fingers and toes. wrists and ankles, and into the limbs as you reach now for a full body stretch. Your limbs can reach in any direction, space permitting. And breathe. We're gonna take one more inhale in the stretch, and then exhale to roll to the right side. Breathe in again, feel held by the earth. And then exhale to press up to a comfortable seat. I invite you to stick around for a little aromatherapy here. With or without oil, though, you can use the energy that you've cultivated through your practice. Got lavender oil with me. Watching on video, you can pause and go grab some essential oil or some lotion. So we'll rub the palms together vigorously until you feel some heat or some tingling, some vibration, or however it manifests for you in your body, just some kind of physical or tactile sensation, right? And then you work to emphasize or exaggerate that. So you're amping it up or concentrating in it so it feels stronger. And then you get to decide whatever you want to do with this energy. So you can send it out to a friend or a loved one. You can give it to yourself in a place that needs it. Or you can just give yourself kind of an overall wash and cleanse. So I like to do this facial, this pranic facial, because of all the sensory openings here. We're just so exposed to the sensory world. So we sort of got to give it a little clean every now and again. Maybe apply some of that energy to your tight spaces, the injuries that you're managing. Keep the eyes closed if you're comfortable, and take 2 more breaths of this self-care. Honor your body here and thank yourself for spending this time on your mat. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Your presence truly is a gift. Namaste.